If your life is so miserable, so shitty, that all that you can think about is entertainment. How do I get distracted from what I'm going through right now? How can I distract myself from this life? Then you wake up one day having wasted a whole bunch of years of your life. And the important years too, by the way, the years that would have formed the foundation of something that could have been great, but now it's too late. Or at least you'll tell yourself it's too late. Every minute that we waste is a sacrifice of what we could have been. Every single second that we waste and we erode away what we could have been. Every minute that we put into it, we build ourselves towards what we can become. Like, think about a dream that you have. I don't know if anybody wants to be an astronaut. You might be thinking, oh, but that's really hard to do. Yeah, but you know what? Someone's gonna be an astronaut, right? Someone's gotta go to space. Why not you? I want to open a business, but it's really hard. But yeah, but businesses are going to exist, so why not yours? You know, we get so much in our head, like we can't, but man, you could. If you just focus yourself, like singularly on something. Like what you could do is it's beyond your understanding. And I mean that genuinely. Because unless you have ever done that before, poured yourself entirely into something, then you haven't seen what you're capable of. You might have gotten some little glimpses here and there. But man, once you do that, I think you're gonna, I know, I'm being coy by saying I know that you're gonna shock yourself about what you're capable of. But I also say that knowing that 95% of the people out there never will. And then instead of being shocked by what you're capable of, you come to a realization of what you've become. I hear you. Because this suggests that there's a God. If there's a God, well then yeah, there's a meaning of life. But if there is no God, in fact, Frankl was an atheist. If there is no God, then that means there is no one meaning for all of us. That means that all that exists is a meaning of life. If you believe in God, I mean, if you genuinely believe, not just like, what do we say when we don't really have conviction? I'm spiritual, not religious. If you're that person, then you're missing something there. But if you believe in an actual God, then what else would you be doing with your life except for serving God? That makes any sense. There's nothing else to do. But if you don't believe in God, then there's nothing to do there except for figure out a meaning in life. Because if you don't have a meaning or a purpose, then you really can't go on. I probably mentioned in this class, like if I asked the question, like, why are we here? Why do we do English language arts? And when I asked that question, especially of 12th graders, because we've already gone through 11 years of it, and we're starting our 12th year of studying this stuff. Why do we study it? What's the point? And a lot of times we'll get answers like, to have a better future. Not that we believe that, but that's just like what we're programmed to say. And I'll ask, how does it give you a better future? And then if we really get down to it, it's like, I needed to graduate, and I want to go to college, or I want to go get a job, and so I needed to do that. Fair enough. That's fair enough. But here's the problem with it. If you don't see a purpose in it, if you don't see a meaning in it, how much effort are you going to put into it? Like if I said to you guys, all right guys, everybody, let's run out the door. What would you do? I imagine very much like what you're doing right now, which is what? Yeah, questioning with your eyes, wondering why. I said, guys, come on, let's run. Why? Because he's got a gun. Oh, and then everyone starts to bolt for the door. In other words, unless you have a meaning or a reason for something, oftentimes we won't want to do it. And even if we have a reason, unless the reason is strong enough, like you might be over here like, well, he's only got 10 bullets. By the time he gets to me, unless you have a strong enough reason to run, you probably won't. Unless you have a strong enough reason to wake up in the morning, you probably won't. Which is, by the way, what's so nefarious about depression. Depression has a way of robbing us of our purpose and our meaning. It tells us, depression is essentially an overtaking of your psychological state, which says, there's no reason to get up. There's nothing that you can do today. There's nothing meaningful for you to do. There's no purpose. And if you believe there's no meaning and there's no purpose, what do? Nothing. You lay there. You have to have a why. If you have a why, you can find a how. Well, what if something's really, really difficult? You still find a way to do it if it's meaningful. Like I imagine that many of us, like I think about my dad. I think I mentioned he worked at McDonald's my whole life. Do you think that my dad woke up every day really excited to go make French fries? I don't think so. I don't think he was sitting there going like, I can't wait to make more Big Macs today. But why did he get up and do it? Because he loved my family and he had to provide for them. He had a why. So because he had the why, he found the how. He's able to motivate himself to do it. So when I ask that question, like why do we study this whole language arts thing? If you don't see a purpose in it, if you don't see a meaning in it, well then you're not going to do it. Or if you do it, you're going to do it really half-assed. Or if your purpose for it is not to learn something, but instead your meaning, your purpose is to just get a grade so you can graduate, you'll cheat. You'll damage your own character. In other words, the thing that your why is going to fuel your how. And so the same is true about everything in life. If you don't have a why, then there's no reason to do anything. And if you're talking about like having a meaning in life, if you believe that there's a God, well then okay, you have a meaning. You have a purpose that centrally guides you your whole life. If you don't though, then why wake up in the morning? Why bother going on? Because life is short and then you die and eventually the universe is going to burn out and it'll be like you never existed anyway, so who cares? And I could sit here and wait for years for one of us to give an answer to that, and you won't come up with one. Unless you can say, I have a meaning for my life. I have a reason to go on. And maybe it's not a universal meaning. Maybe it's not your meaning. But you know what? The purpose of my life, the meaning of my life is right there, to start a business. And then if you truly believe that your day in and day out existence depends on that business, what kind of work ethic do you think you're going to have? You're going to pour yourself into this thing entirely. It's going to be all that you think about, all that you do. If you think that your meaning of life is instead to have a family, well then what kind of a father are you going to be? What kind of a mother are you going to be? Hopefully, you pour yourself into it, hopefully you'll be really, really good at it, because you can't help but be good at things that you practice and pour yourself into. But if you lack a meaning, if you lack a purpose, that's when you just kind of stumble around in life. And then these are the kinds of people who just fill up their days with entertainment, as we talked about before. Because entertainment is designed to distract you from your life. And if your life is, I said it nicely, if your life is so miserable, so shitty, that all that you can think about is entertainment. How do I get distracted from what I'm going through right now? How can I distract myself from this life? Then you wake up one day having wasted a whole bunch of years of your life. And the important years too, by the way, the years that would have formed the foundation of something that could have been great, but now it's too late. Or at least you'll tell yourself it's too late. Every minute that we waste is a sacrifice of what we could have been. Every single second that we waste and we erode away what we could have been. Every minute that we put into it, we build ourselves towards what we can become. And this is one of the really sad things about doing what I do. As I talk with other teachers, is that you can see such incredible human potential in front of you, and yet you see people who entirely distract themselves from it. And I don't know. I do see that. I was talking to someone today earlier about another teacher, and they were saying that this teacher gets really, really mad all the time. And I think, my goodness, I don't get mad. I get heartbroken because you can see like what so many people could become. And you get to a point where it's like, man, it's like I get tired of going to Walmart and seeing a former student of mine who works there who avoids it because they don't want to be seen by me. Why? Because they're embarrassed. Do you think they'd be avoiding me if they pulled up next to me in traffic in their Porsche? No, they wouldn't. They'd want to be seen by everybody. I come across them working at various places. One of my former students, I came across him. He was picking up trash in a Caltrans nest. He works for a city where he just picks up trash. It wasn't like on probation, I was on parole or something like that. That's just his job. I remember this dude, fascinated by entertainment. And he was just like very sheepish. Hey, you remember me? Yeah, how you been, man? Talk to my human being, because he is. And he's telling me, yeah, I think I'm gonna go back to school. He's not going back to school. But what do you say? You're not going back to school. No, that'd be dope, man. Are you having fun with what you're doing? Are you enjoying it? I mean, it's all right. No, not really. Oh, but you're outdoors, dude. That's better than being indoors, right? Yeah. What are you gonna do? Make someone feel terrible about their situation? He already feels terrible enough. What gets him up every day to go pick up trash from the city? I don't know, man, but I hope it keeps him getting up and going, because otherwise it's a life of despair. It's quiet despair, man. You know? And it's heartbreaking when you see what like so many people could be, because like think about a dream that you have. I don't know if anybody wants to be an astronaut, and you might be thinking, oh, but that's really hard to do. Yeah, but you know what? Someone's gonna be an astronaut, right? Someone's gotta go to space. Why not you? I want to open a business, but it's really hard. But yeah, but businesses are going to exist, so why not yours? You know, we get so much in our head like we can't, but man, you could. If you just focus yourself, like singularly on something. Like what you could do is just, it's beyond your understanding. And I mean that genuinely. Because unless you have ever done that before, poured yourself entirely into something, then you haven't seen what you're capable of. You might have gotten some little glimpses here and there. But man, once you do that, I think you're gonna, I know, I'm being coy by saying I know that you're gonna shock yourself about what you're capable of. But I also say that knowing that 95% of the people out there never will. And then instead of being shocked by what you're capable of, you come to a realization of what you've become, which is what you allowed to happen, to become. Bless you. I like that first word, by the way. If. Notice he's not saying there is meaning, he's saying if there is. If there is. I was telling first period, I'll read this to you guys too. The Spartans, you guys are familiar with the Spartan society at all, Greek culture. Anybody see the movie 300? If you had that, those are the Spartans. The Spartans were known for being three things pretty much in the ancient world. Powerful warriors, wealthy, and smartasses. It was part of Spartan culture to be funny and to be what's called laconic humor. Laconic humor means to be able to be funny in as short of a sentence as possible. So in other words, to be able to respond to people in a very clever way that shoots them down with as concisely as possible. So this is a neat truism of history. Philip of Macedon was invading, and you wouldn't just show up with your army. You'd send them a messenger, giving them an opportunity to surrender. So Philip of Macedon, he sends them this message to the Spartans. He says, now look, if I win this war, you will be slaves forever. You're advised to submit without further delay. For if I bring my armies into your land, I will destroy your farms, slay your people, and level your city. That guy meant business. And the Spartans sent back only one word: if. If. Yeah. If you win this war, if you bring your armies, good luck. Let's see what happens. It's a big word, man. If this, then that. If there's a meaning in life at all, then there must be a meaning in suffering. But the worst suffering that you can encounter is the kind that seems like it has no meaning. I just sent an email to somebody who wrote me a letter. Someone he loves is going through something very, very difficult right now, and it's affecting him, of course. And I said to him, that's one of the worst sufferings you can endure. When someone you love is suffering, there's nothing you can do about it except for be around it. You know? So what do? You gotta find a meaning in it. Find something that you can get out of it. I guess to use a cliche, to make lemonade, I suppose, out of bad situations. So, because the truth is that you're gonna have to go through it anyway. You might as well get something out of it. Even a math class, you know. Questions, comments, concerns, complaints, criticisms, critiques? You know. Happy Wednesday.